Hi students, this is a new video that intends to introduce you to the interview memorandum assignment, which is your next major assignment. What I'm showing you on the screen is our Learn page, and this assignment shows up in the left-hand sidebar interview memorandum assignment. You just click on that item and you will get to this page. Here is the link to the PDF of all the assignment details. I just want to point out here that this title here in black, that's where you click to turn in the final version of the assignment. When you need to turn in your draft version, you'll go to the discussion board and go to the peer review item for this. So without further ado, I want to show you the assignment itself. Here it is. At the top of the document, you'll see that all the deadlines are listed. The first item of note is that there are 2 days when these practitioner interviews are going to take place. A practitioner is somebody who is an employed professional tech writer, professional communicator, or corporate communicator. I've contacted several people in our local community to see if they'll come talk to my students in English 290. Many of these people have come in previous years, but a few people coming this semester are brand new. I haven't met them. They're Sandians who are employed as tech writers at Sandia. So we have 5 people coming spread across these 2 days, and you will sign up for a session with one of these practitioners. Before I go through the rest of this assignment, I'm going to show you the sign-up sheet. You will access this sign-up sheet through one of the weekly to-do lists, and that will be clear when you get to it. There will be a link to get to the sign-up sheet. Here's the sign-up sheet. As I'm showing it to you today, not all of the practitioners have filled in their bio content here. By the time you get to this, it'll probably be all filled in, but you'll see that there are sessions on Wednesday, October 24th and Friday, October 26th. If you're watching this in a future semester, those dates might be different for you on your Google Doc, but it'll be clearly detailed up here in the top line. Now, because this is an online class, I know that some students just can't come to campus, which is absolutely understandable. And if that is the case with you, as this instruction block in orange says, you just need to indicate whether you need to be Skyped, FaceTimed, or Google Hangouts into the meeting. So underneath this yellow line is where students will fill in their names. You'll just click on the document and you'll put in a return and you'll type in your name, like I am doing here. However, I want to be sure that there's a good distribution of students across all 5 sessions. So there's 3 on Wednesday and there are 2 on Friday. Again, if you're looking at this in a future semester, this might not be the distribution of the dates for your sessions. But this document is pretty straightforward and understandable. Just read it and fill in your name on a day and time that works for you. Okay, so back to the assignment. Now this assignment prompt gives you all the details that you'll need to know for what we're doing with these interviews, why we're doing it, and what we're hoping to accomplish as a result. So this assignment has 3 parts. You're going to be completing a 2-page memo that addresses the research questions and the general subjects, which I detail later on in this memo. You're going to include as part number 2, a detailed interview transcript from your meeting with this tech communicator who is your SME, your subject matter expert in this area. And number 3, a record of your notes generated during your online research that prepared you for your interview. And by record, I just mean either a document that includes all the notes that you took typing them up, or just images of handwritten notes that you took. And I'll show you a few students' examples of this. So here's the research questions section. So here are 5 questions for all of the interview subjects. The goal of these questions is to help you all gather information from practitioners about the most commonly used genres, both written and multimodal, in specific technical and professional communication job titles and workplaces. We're going to hone in on these questions specific questions after asking a few contextualizing background questions. So the first one is, what is your educational background relative to writing and communication? Can you elaborate on what you remember of that education concerning the communication skills and foundations it taught you? The next one is, can you name the 5 most common genre types you work with or produce during an average year? I'm not going to read all the language in these questions in this video. But you can read them all. And what will happen is if there are 5 students in an interview session with a practitioner, each student will get one of these questions. Then after that, students will ask their own questions that they come up with based on their own research into technical communication genres. And that's what I'm going to move on to next. So during your interview preparation, you need to come up with your own questions. You need to reread the Intercom article that I shared earlier in the semester about the foundational 9 proficiencies for entry-level professional technical writers, and you need to think about those proficiencies relative to the kinds of things that technical writers create, what they write, and what they generate. So I want you to look at a few other resources to help you with this information gathering too. So you're looking into what genres practitioners need to be familiar with and what skills they need for multimodal composing and how they gained those skills and how they learn about the audiences to whom they're communicating. So one excellent resource that I mentioned in this assignment is the Technical Communication Body of Knowledge, the TC-BOK. So if you click this link here, TC-BOK, you will get to the Body of Knowledge landing page, and you will search for keywords. So if you look through your Markel textbook, and I say this in the prompt too, you can look in the table of contents and see some of the document types that technical communicators work in. Let's say one of them, proposals, or another, recommendation report. You might write those here into the search box and see what comes up out of this huge body of knowledge. You'll have to scroll through once you get your search results and see which ones are at your level, your undergraduate students in technical communication. The information in the TC-BOK might be for practitioners, and it might be sort of above your level at this point, but you're going to scroll through and you're going to find a few articles that concern that genre. So back to the assignment, that's one resource I point out here. Another is this online textbook for technical communication, and that might be another place to look. You're not limited to these two resources, but I wanted to give you a few places to start. So just by reading some of these articles about the genres that tech writers use, I want you to ask a few questions, generate 1 or 2 questions of your own to ask the practitioner in your meeting about genres, their nuances, the challenges of using them and adapting them, and more. So the next section of this prompt is what to do during your interview and what to do after your interview. So during your interview, you need to be attentive, prepared, and ready to go. You can ask your practitioner if you can record audio record the interview. You need to get their permission to do that. Otherwise, if you don't want to do that, you can just take detailed notes. Now, you're going to use those notes or that audio recording to create a transcript of the questions and answers that were asked during your hour-long session. Now, for your memorandum, you need to create a 2-page memo that precedes the interview transcript in your assignment. So in your memo, you're trying to reveal that you have a solid understanding concerning communication output about what a technical or professional communicator produces. You also want to know how they produce this content and why they produce this content. So I'm reading from this paragraph right here, so read this carefully. This will guide you about how you need to compose your memo and the kind of content you need to have in it. So the notes section, that's just the notes that I just explained to you, the notes you took while you were information gathering in preparation for the interview. The last part of this prompt just tells you how much everything is worth. So I want to show you a few students' assignments from the past. Now, these students that I'm showing you here had a slightly different assignment. They were doing something different with their interview questions. You guys are looking at genres. They were looking at sort of professionalization strategies and school-to-work transition. So the memos that I'm showing you on the screen largely concern that, but nevertheless, you can see how this student wrote his memo. He had a purpose statement, a summary statement, talked about who was in attendance at the interview session, gave a background on the SME who he spoke with, and then gave the results of the interview. So the 5 common questions are embedded basically in this memo. The student talks about them, quotes from the interview subject, and synthesizes the information that the interview subject shared and combines it with some information that the student collected during outside research. There's a conclusion section, which is an excellent strategy as well. So here is the interview transcript. You can see this student has an interview overview, reiterates the questions here, explains basically a key, what all the initials stand for, and then goes with the questions and answers, and it's very nicely formatted here. Now, you do not have to include every last word that was uttered over the course of an hour. If you did that, your transcript would be incredibly long. You need to make sure that you have content for the 5 central questions and answers, but you can take out content that was filler. You see there's an ellipsis here. That means that content was taken out. You can take out filler content so you tighten up the transcript. And then the student included his notes that he took. I'm going to show you one more student's example. This student has a really clean memo to begin the packet, an overview, the purpose of this document. That's an excellent way to start out. An introduction to the interview, a summary of the interview. The student mentions the 5 questions and then uses those questions to organize the content in the memo, and also refers to some secondary research that the student used to inform the responses that the interview subject gave her. There's a concluding section 2 where all the loose threads are tied together so that the overall memo communicates an important message about what the student learned, or some lasting knowledge that was generated as a result of the interview as combined with secondary research. So if the audience for this memo is me, for example, in this case, that is exactly who your audience for this memo is. You are trying to convince me that you can synthesize all of this information to make sort of a strong argument or draw some strong conclusions about this combined information about genres in the technical communication workplace. Here's this student's transcript. Turns out that this student and the other student I showed you, they both interviewed in the same interview. But you can see the format is slightly different. And let's see, this scrolling seems to be stalled out. This student also included at the end of the document some images of the notes that she took in preparation. So there's some images of the notes, and I'm not going to scroll through here because it's hard to scroll through all of these images, but there's a lot of content here. So I have shown you the assignment prompt, and I've shown you the sign-up sheet for the interviews, and I've shown you a few examples of student work. So hopefully I've clarified what the intention of this assignment is, the genres that you're going to use in your writing of the materials that comprise this packet, and what our overarching goals are with regard to what we're trying to learn in this class as a whole regarding the profession of technical and professional communication. If you have any questions at all about this assignment, please reach out to me with them.